Imagine a land that has risen, fallen, and risen again against the tides of history. Poland, a nation whose heartbeat has never ceased, even when empires sought to erase it from the map. From medieval knights to modern heroes, from epic battles to incredible resilience, Poland's story is one of courage, sacrifice, and unbroken spirit. Every street, every castle, every monument whispers tales of bravery, ambition, and survival. Today, we dive deep into the extraordinary saga of Poland, a journey that will make you feel the fire of its history. If you love your country, hit subscribe, and if you love your mother, comment below. Poland's history is a story of resilience, ambition, and survival. Nestled in the heart of Europe, this land has been a crossroads for cultures, armies, and empires. Its origins trace back to the early Slavic tribes, scattered across vast forests and rivers, where communities began forging identities that would eventually become the foundation of the Polish nation. By the 10th century, under the leadership of Mieszko I, Poland was united and officially converted to Christianity, aligning itself with Western Europe and signaling the birth of a kingdom whose influence would ripple through centuries. The Piast dynasty, Poland's first royal family, laid the structural and cultural foundations that shaped the nation's identity. Castles rose, monasteries flourished, and trade routes expanded, connecting Poland with the rest of Europe. Yet the nation's strategic position was both a blessing and a curse. Surrounded by powerful neighbors, the Teutonic Order to the north, the Holy Roman Empire to the west, and Lithuania to the east, Poland had to navigate a delicate balance of diplomacy and defense. This tension sparked centuries of alliances, wars, and shifting borders, teaching the Polish people the art of resilience and adaptation. By the 14th century, the union of Poland and Lithuania created one of Europe's largest and most influential realms. Known as the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, it became a beacon of cultural diversity, religious tolerance, and political innovation. The unique system of elective monarchy and the Sejm, a parliamentary institution, allowed nobles unprecedented power, setting Poland apart from the rigid hierarchies of other European nations. Cities like Krakow and Gdansk thrived as centers of trade, science, and art, and Poland became a cultural hub where Renaissance ideas flourished. However, Poland's greatness also attracted envy and aggression. The country faced repeated invasions, from the Teutonic Knights in the north to the Ottoman Turks in the south, from Swedish armies during the Deluge to the devastating campaigns of neighboring empires. Despite these challenges, Poland demonstrated extraordinary resilience. Its warriors, most famously the winged hussars, became legendary for their discipline, courage, and tactical brilliance. Yet, the political system that celebrated noble freedom also created internal weaknesses. Over time, the decentralized power structure allowed neighboring powers to manipulate internal conflicts, weakening the state and sowing the seeds of future partitions. The late 18th century brought one of the darkest chapters in Poland's history, the three partitions by Russia, Prussia, and Austria. In 1772, 1793, and finally 1795, Poland was wiped off the map, and its people found themselves under foreign rule. But even in exile, Polish identity persisted. Intellectuals, writers, and revolutionaries kept the dream of independence alive. Figures like Tadeusz Kościuszko and Józef Piłsudski became symbols of unwavering national pride, demonstrating that Poland could endure even the harshest oppression. The 19th century was a time of struggle and rebirth. Despite being under occupation, Poles preserved their language, culture, and traditions. Uprisings erupted repeatedly, fueled by a deep desire for sovereignty. The Romantic era immortalized the Polish spirit through literature, poetry, and music, turning suffering into an art form that inspired generations. The resilience of the people eventually bore fruit. In 1918, after World War I, and more than a century of partitions, Poland reclaimed its independence. The Second Polish Republic emerged, determined to rebuild and define itself in a turbulent Europe. Yet Poland's path to stability remained treacherous. The interwar period was marked by political instability, economic challenges, and growing threats from aggressive neighbors. When World War II erupted, Poland again became the battleground of empires. Invaded by Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union in 1939, the country endured unimaginable atrocities, including the Holocaust and mass deportations. Cities were destroyed, millions of lives were lost, yet the spirit of resistance never wavered. The Home Army and underground movements fought bravely, ensuring that Poland's heart and culture survived even under occupation. The post-war period brought a new struggle, rebuilding under Soviet influence. Poland became part of the Eastern Bloc, enduring decades of communism that suppressed freedoms and altered the social fabric. Yet the Polish people never gave up their quest for liberty. Movements like Solidarity in the 1980s, led by Lech Wałęsa, galvanized the nation and the world, showing that courage, unity, and persistence could overcome oppression. By 1989, Poland had transitioned to democracy, reclaiming its place as a sovereign nation with renewed hope and determination. Today, Poland stands as a testament to human resilience. Its cities showcase a blend of historical grandeur and modern innovation. Cultural traditions, festivals, and literature continue to thrive, celebrating a heritage that has survived invasions, partitions, and ideological struggles. Poland's journey from tribal lands to a modern European nation is more than a historical timeline. It is a saga of courage, perseverance, and unbreakable spirit. Every battle fought, every empire resisted, every cultural gem preserved, tells the story of a nation that refuses to be erased. Do you know the incredible struggles Poland endured to survive? Subscribe to uncover more of its heroic history and share your thoughts in the comments below. Poland is not just a country, it is a story carved into the very fabric of Europe. To truly understand Poland, you must imagine a land of vast forests, mighty rivers, and rolling plains, where early tribes struggled to survive, yet laid the seeds of an extraordinary civilization. From these humble beginnings arose a nation whose influence would echo across centuries, shaping politics, culture, and the course of history itself. The Polish people, time and again, faced unimaginable trials, from foreign invasions to devastating wars, from loss of sovereignty to ideological oppression. But through it all, their spirit remained unbroken, a beacon of resilience in the heart of Europe. The origins of Poland trace back to the early Slavic tribes. They were not just survivors, they were builders, storytellers, and pioneers who forged their identities amid rivers and forests. As communities united under strong leaders, the seeds of a nation began to take root. One such leader, Mieszko the Fur, recognized the importance of unity and faith. His conversion to Christianity in 966 was not merely a religious choice, but a strategic move that aligned Poland with Western Europe and opened doors to diplomacy, culture, and trade. This moment would define Poland's trajectory for centuries, establishing it as a kingdom of influence and vision. As the Piast dynasty rose, castles and fortresses became symbols of power and protection. Trade routes expanded, connecting Poland to the Mediterranean and Northern Europe. But Poland's geography, so central to its growth, was also a source of vulnerability. The land lay between powerful neighbors, the Teutonic Knights, the Holy Roman Empire, and Lithuania. This position meant that Poland had to master the art of defense and diplomacy, balancing threats while nurturing its own cultural and economic growth. Over centuries, Poland evolved not only as a military force, but as a vibrant hub of ideas, arts, and innovation. The 14th century brought a transformation of unparalleled significance, the union with Lithuania. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth emerged as a colossal state, both in territory and in ambition. Unlike other European nations bound by rigid hierarchies, the Commonwealth offered a unique political system where nobles wielded power through the Sejm, an early parliamentary body. Cities like Krakow became centers of Renaissance thought, where scholars, artists, and architects flourished. Poland was not merely surviving, it was thriving, a place of diversity, tolerance, and intellectual brilliance. Yet, with greatness came vulnerability. Poland faced repeated invasions and internal conflicts. The winged hussars, the elite cavalry, became legends for their skill and bravery, defending the nation against foreign armies. Still, the decentralized political system, while innovative, created internal fractures that external powers exploited. By the late 18th century, Poland faced the unimaginable, partitions that erased it from the map. Russia, Prussia, and Austria carved up the nation in 1772, 1793, and 1795. But even under occupation, Polish identity endured. Heroes like Tadeusz Kościuszko kept the dream of freedom alive, proving that nations are more than territories. They are hearts, minds, and spirits. The 19th century was a time of relentless struggle. Uprisings against occupying powers demonstrated the Polish commitment to liberty. Even in exile, Poles preserved their language, literature, and traditions. Romantic poets and writers immortalized their plight, turning suffering into art that resonated across Europe. When Poland finally regained independence in 1918, after more than a century of partition, it was not just a political victory. It was the triumph of identity, resilience, and the indomitable human spirit. World War II tested Poland in ways unimaginable. In 1939, Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union invaded, plunging the nation into darkness. Cities were destroyed, millions perished, and yet the Polish resistance never wavered. Underground armies, secret schools, and clandestine presses kept hope alive, proving that even in the darkest times, courage can shine. After the war, Poland faced new challenges under Soviet influence. Communism reshaped its society, but the desire for freedom never faded. Movements like Solidarity, led by Lech Wałęsa, showed the world that unity, persistence, and courage could overcome oppression. By 1989, Poland had emerged as a free democratic nation, ready to embrace the future while honoring its past. Modern Poland is a testament to centuries of struggle and triumph. From the cobblestone streets of Krakow to the dynamic cities of Warsaw and Gdansk, the country blends rich history with contemporary innovation. Its cultural heritage, from Chopin's music to vibrant festivals, celebrates a past forged in resilience. The Polish story is not just about wars and borders. It is about survival, creativity, and the unwavering human spirit. Every battle fought, every tradition preserved, every monument restored tells a story of courage, endurance, and hope. Understanding Poland means embracing a complex tapestry of triumphs and tragedies. It is a nation that has faced annihilation, yet emerged with its identity intact. Its people have fought, written, and dreamed, leaving behind a legacy that continues to inspire. Today, Poland stands not only as a guardian of history, but as a vibrant, forward-looking nation. Its journey reminds us that resilience, courage, and unity are the pillars of any enduring civilization. Poland's history is more than a story. It is a living testament to the power of human determination. Every land carries secrets, but Poland's are written in fire, blood, and faith. Beneath its peaceful countryside, beyond its churches and battlefields, lies a mystery older than any recorded history, a story of survival carved into the heart of Europe. Who were the people that shaped this resilient land? What hidden force allowed a nation to rise again and again, no matter how many times it was erased from the map? Long before the crowns and castles, before Christianity reached its borders, the land was ruled by shadows. Ancient Slavic tribes who believed the earth itself was alive. They whispered to rivers, prayed to oak trees, and buried their warriors with swords and coins to pay the spirits for safe passage. These rituals weren't superstition. They were part of an unbroken code, a bond between man, nature, and destiny. Though time erased their names, their strength became the invisible foundation of Poland's soul. Then came a man destined to change everything. Mieszko II, a warlord whose vision turned scattered tribes into a kingdom. He was both feared and admired, a leader who understood that faith could unite what swords could not. When he accepted Christianity in 966, Poland entered history's spotlight. Yet this act was shrouded in mystery. Was it faith or strategy? Some say it was love for his Bohemian wife, Dobrawa. Others whisper it was survival, a calculated choice to protect his people from the encroaching power of the Holy Roman Empire. Whatever the truth, that decision bound Poland to Western Europe forever and forged its spiritual identity. The mystery deepened as centuries passed. The Piast dynasty expanded the kingdom's borders, building cathedrals, trade routes, and legends. But beneath the glory, whispers persisted, of relics hidden in monasteries, of ancient alliances sealed in blood. Chroniclers spoke of treasures buried by fleeing kings, sacred artifacts lost in wars, and manuscripts burned to hide inconvenient truths. One such mystery is the disappearance of the crown of Bolesław the Brave, Poland's first king. Crafted with jewels symbolizing divine authority, it vanished during an invasion and was never found. Was it melted by enemies, or hidden by loyal monks waiting for the day Poland would rise again? By the 14th century, another enigma unfolded, the union between Poland and Lithuania. It wasn't merely political, it was mystical. Two different worlds, Slavic and Baltic, pagan and Christian, merging into one of the largest and most diverse empires in Europe. Historians still debate the forces behind it. Was it love between Queen Jadwiga and Grand Duke Jogaila, or divine intervention to protect Europe from the Mongols and Teutonic Knights? The marriage united not only two thrones but two destinies, creating the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, a state built on freedom, tolerance, and unimaginable complexity. But every mystery holds a curse. The Commonwealth's golden age glimmered with art, science, and wealth. But beneath it, corruption grew. Nobles fought over power, kings became figureheads, and foreign interests poisoned unity. And still the question remained, why did a nation so blessed with intelligence, courage, and faith constantly attract tragedy? Was it fate? Was Poland destined to suffer for its ideals of freedom? In the 17th century, as the Swedish deluge ravaged the land, legends say angels wept over Poland. Churches were looted, palaces burned. Yet the nation refused to surrender. People believed their suffering had divine meaning, that Poland was Christ among nations, crucified by its enemies but destined to resurrect. Even invaders couldn't destroy that faith. It was this invisible fire that carried them through centuries of darkness. When the partitions came in the 18th century, 3 cuts by Russia, Prussia, and Austria, Poland disappeared. No flag, no government, no name, and yet somehow the Polish heart kept beating. The mystery grew deeper. How can a nation survive without a country? How can a language thrive when outlawed? How can hope live when buried? The answers lie not in politics, but in soul, in the secret schools, in poets who wrote in exile, in farmers who whispered banned songs under the moonlight. That was Poland's greatest secret, its unbreakable spirit. Even in exile, Polish heroes rose like phantoms of destiny. Tadeusz Kościuszko, who fought not only for Poland but also in America's revolution, became a symbol of freedom without borders. His letters spoke of a dream, a Poland reborn where equality reigns. His mystery was not how he lived, but how his ideals continued to ignite revolutions long after his death. In the 19th century, Romantic poets turned pain into prophecy. Mickiewicz wrote of ghosts and nations, of divine justice, of resurrection. To him, Poland's suffering was not punishment, it was purification. His words created a new mystery. Was Poland's destiny not to rule, but to inspire? Then came the 20th century, a storm of steel and shadows. In World War II, when Poland was crushed between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, the world expected silence. Instead, resistance was born in the dark. The Polish underground built secret schools, published newspapers, and even created one of the largest resistance networks in Europe. The Warsaw Uprising of 1944 stands as one of history's greatest mysteries of courage. How could civilians, outnumbered and outgunned, fight tanks with homemade weapons for 63 days? The answer lies in one truth. You can destroy a city, but not a soul that refuses to kneel. And when communism came after the war, a new mystery began. The mystery of solidarity. How did simple workers, armed only with faith and unity, topple one of the world's most powerful regimes? How did whispers in shipyards become the roar that broke the Iron Curtain? Perhaps the same ancient force that guided Mieszko, the same invisible power that kept the Polish spirit alive for 1,000 years, once again rose to fulfill its promise. The mystery of Poland is not just in its history, it is in its people. A nation erased 3 times, rebuilt 4. A country that faced betrayal from allies, oppression from empires, and still stood proud. Its story is a testament to something beyond logic, something eternal. Poland's secret is not buried in the past. It lives in every heart that refuses to surrender, in every prayer whispered under fire, in every song sung in exile. Poland's mystery is life itself, the miracle of endurance, the courage to hope when hope is forbidden, and the faith that tomorrow always belongs to those who never stop believing. The story of Poland is not only built on glory, it is also haunted by suspicion. Behind every alliance lay betrayal, behind every victory lurked deceit. For centuries, Poland's fate was written not just by swords, but by whispers. After the golden age of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, cracks began to form. The nobles, once united under a vision of freedom, turned against one another. Suspicion spread like poison through the corridors of palaces and the chambers of the Sejm. Every noble feared his neighbor's ambition. Foreign ambassadors, Russian, Prussian, Austrian, played on that fear, buying loyalties, spreading rumors, turning brother against brother. Poland's democracy of the nobility, once a symbol of liberty, became its curse. One man's freedom became another's weapon. There were whispers in Krakow and Warsaw that the king himself was a puppet, his hands tied by the very men sworn to defend him. The once mighty Commonwealth became a chessboard for empires, each move made by powers who smiled in daylight but plotted in shadow. Russia promised protection, Prussia offered friendship, Austria whispered peace. Yet behind closed doors they drew maps dividing Poland among themselves. When the first partition came in 1772, few believed it possible. How could a nation so vast, so cultured, vanish piece by piece? The answer was suspicion, distrust between classes, greed among the nobles, and manipulation by neighbors. The people began to wonder, had the betrayal come from outside or from within? The Kosciuszko Uprising was born from that very suspicion. Tadeusz Kościuszko, once hailed as a hero of liberty, began to see the truth. "We are betrayed not by our enemies," he said, "but by our own pride." His rebellion sought to unite peasants, nobles, and townsfolk under one banner, but the divisions were already too deep. The uprising failed, not because of weakness, but because too many doubted one another. Suspicion had done what armies could not. It broke unity. By 1795, the final partition erased Poland from the world map. A kingdom that had stood for 8 centuries was gone. Yet even in defeat, suspicion remained, of neighbors, of rulers, of fate itself. Under foreign occupation, Poles lived with eyes over their shoulders. Who could be trusted? The priest? The soldier? The merchant? In the 19th century, spies and informants filled the streets. A whispered word against the Tsar could mean exile to Siberia. Still, hope survived underground. Secret schools taught forbidden history, poets wrote in code, and freedom fighters planned in silence. But even among them, suspicion lingered. There were traitors, men who sold their comrades for gold or safety. The Polish underground became a mirror of human weakness and strength, bound together by distrust and desperate faith. When Poland finally regained independence in 1918, joy filled the air, but so did fear. After 123 years of partitions, no one truly knew whom to trust. Political parties accused each other of treason. Generals suspected politicians of corruption. The government feared conspiracies. The young republic was fragile, held together by the memory of suffering. Then came World War II, and suspicion turned deadly. The Nazi invasion in 1939 tore the nation apart. Families fled in chaos, not knowing whether the stranger offering help was a friend or a collaborator. Resistance groups operated in the shadows using false names, secret signals, and coded messages. Every knock on a door could mean death. Even among the brave soldiers of the Home Army, paranoia reigned. Who was a loyal comrade? Who was a German spy? The Soviets too played their own games. They promised liberation but brought a new kind of chains. The Katyn massacre, where thousands of Polish officers were executed by Soviet forces, was denied for decades. Families lived in silence, afraid to speak the truth. The government in exile in London could only watch as allies became enemies, and the war's victors buried Poland under red banners. After the war, suspicion became the law of the land. Under communist rule, the regime turned neighbor against neighbor. The secret police listened to every conversation, opened every letter, shadowed every dream. Ordinary citizens became informants. Trust was a luxury no one could afford. People learned to smile in public and whisper their real thoughts in the dark. But even in that climate of fear, the Polish soul refused to break. The church became a silent fortress of truth. Priests, intellectuals, and workers whispered of freedom, knowing full well that one wrong word could cost their lives. Then, in the shipyards of Gdansk, a spark ignited, the Solidarity movement. Workers united under Lech Wałęsa, guided not by guns but by courage and faith. Yet even within Solidarity, suspicion haunted every meeting. Who was an agent? Who was watching? Every victory carried the shadow of betrayal, and still, Poland prevailed. Against all odds, the people's unity, fragile, fearful, and full of doubt, proved stronger than the empire that spied on them. Suspicion may have infected their history, but it could never kill their spirit. Today, as Poland stands free and proud, the echoes of suspicion remain, not as fear, but as memory. It reminds the nation that liberty must be guarded not only from enemies beyond its borders, but from distrust within its heart. Poland's story teaches one profound truth. Suspicion can destroy kingdoms, but faith in unity, in truth in each other, can resurrect them. War, fire, betrayal, and rebirth. That is the rhythm of Poland's heartbeat, a nation that refuses to die. When September 1939 arrived, Poland stood alone. The sun rose over Warsaw with the sound of sirens, and before the world could react, Nazi Germany unleashed Blitzkrieg, lightning war. Tanks rolled across the countryside like thunder, planes screamed above and cities turned to ash. Yet the Polish people did not surrender. Farmers turned into fighters, teachers became soldiers, and children carried messages through the rubble. The enemy believed Poland would fall in weeks, but the heart of 1,000 years cannot be crushed by metal. Then came the betrayal that cut deeper than any bomb. Just 17 days later, from the east, the Soviet Union invaded. Two empires, sworn enemies, united in a silent pact to erase Poland from the world once more. Families fled one horror only to be captured by another. Thousands of soldiers, officers, priests, and intellectuals were rounded up, vanished into forests and prisons, never to return. The world stayed silent, and under the dark trees of Katyn, the earth swallowed one of history's greatest crimes. Over 20,000 Polish officers executed, their bodies hidden, their names erased. Warsaw burned. The country was divided, but the spirit of Poland refused to die. Beneath the ashes in secret basements, a new army was born, the Home Army, Armia Krajowa. It was not an army of soldiers, but of souls, teachers, mothers, students, and priests, fighting not for conquest but for memory. They printed newspapers in candlelight, smuggled weapons through tunnels, and waited for the day the world would remember them. That day came in 1944, the Warsaw Uprising, one of the most heroic yet tragic chapters in human history. For 63 days, the people of Warsaw fought the Nazis street by street, room by room. They were outnumbered, outgunned, starving, yet they fought. The city turned into a living inferno. Children carried grenades, women became medics, priests held mass under fire. And when the call for surrender came, the people answered with a roar, "Poland will live." But help never came. The Soviet army, just across the river, watched in silence. The Allies sent words, not weapons. The uprising was crushed. Warsaw was destroyed. Yet even in death, Poland stood taller than its conquerors. Out of ruins, Legends were born. The bravery of the scouts, the defiance of the nurses, the songs of the dying echoing through burning streets. When the war ended in 1945, Poland was liberated, but freedom did not return. The Soviets replaced the swastika with the Red Star. The same land that bled for liberty was now chained under another empire. The new regime promised equality but delivered fear, censorship, arrests, executions. The ghosts of Stalin walked the streets of Warsaw. Those who survived Nazi camps were branded enemies of the state. Truth itself became forbidden. Yet, even under communism, Poland's heart kept beating. Slowly, quietly, but strong. The people whispered the names of the fallen. Churches became sanctuaries for truth. The cross became not only a symbol of faith but of defiance. Priests risked death to speak hope from the pulpit. One name, whispered first in secret and later shouted across the world, changed everything. Karol Wojtyła, a priest from Krakow, who became Pope John Paul II. His voice thundered not with politics, but with faith. Be not afraid. His words lit a spark, and that spark became solidarity, Solidarność. In the shipyards of Gdansk, ordinary workers refused to bow. Their leader, Lech Wałęsa, stood before tanks with nothing but courage and conviction. The government tried to silence them, but their message had already escaped the factories and entered the hearts of millions. Freedom is worth any price. Martial law was declared. The army surrounded the shipyards and prisons overflowed with dissidents, but the regime could not imprison a nation's soul. From the underground came books, radio broadcasts, and music, all whispering the same forbidden dream. Poland will be free. By the late 1980s, the Iron Curtain trembled. Poland, once a captive, became the spark of revolution for an entire continent. In 1989, after decades of silence, the people's voice broke the walls of fear. The first free elections in Eastern Europe were held, and solidarity triumphed. The world watched in awe as a nation, reborn from centuries of suffering, stood tall again. Freedom had returned, but not without scars. Cities had to be rebuilt, wounds healed, families reunited. Yet amid the ruins stood one truth. The Polish people had conquered not only empires, but despair itself. As the years passed, Poland transformed, a phoenix rising from ashes. From the ruins of Warsaw grew skyscrapers. From oppression came innovation. From sorrow came strength. The nation joined NATO and the European Union, reclaiming its place among the free. But Poland's triumph was more than political. It was spiritual. It proved that no tyranny, no invader, no lie could kill a people whose hearts beat for truth. The climax of Poland's story is not just war or victory, it is resurrection. The same soil that drank the blood of martyrs now blooms with life. The same rivers that carried soldiers' tears now reflect city lights. The same streets that saw tanks and fire now echo with laughter and freedom. Poland's history is the heartbeat of humanity, proof that courage can outlive conquest, and faith can rebuild worlds. When you walk through Warsaw today, every stone, every statue, every church bell tells you one thing. They tried to erase us, they failed. And that is Poland's eternal victory. When the smoke of war finally cleared, Poland stood on the edge of silence. Cities were nothing but skeletons of stone, families were broken, and history itself seemed to weep. Yet within that silence, a new sound began to rise. The sound of rebuilding, not with machines or money, but with memory, faith, and fire. The Polish people began the impossible task of recreating what had been destroyed. Streets once soaked in blood were paved again by the same hands that had buried loved ones. Artists painted ruins into beauty. Architects used old photographs to rebuild Warsaw brick by brick, street by street, even restoring every corner of the old town, not for tourism, but for dignity. It wasn't just reconstruction, it was resurrection. For Poland, rebuilding was not only about walls, it was about souls. A generation scarred by war taught their children not hatred, but hope. Teachers returned to classrooms, even when they had no books. Musicians tuned broken instruments and played in bombed-out halls. Poets wrote verses that turned pain into poetry. The nation was poor in wealth but rich in spirit. Yet the road was hard. Under communist rule, fear was the invisible chain. The secret police listened to whispers, neighbors spied on neighbors, and truth was a dangerous thing. But the Polish heart has always been rebellious, not for chaos but for conscience. Inside homes and churches, people gathered in secret, reading banned books, listening to foreign radio, and praying for freedom. The Catholic Church became the heartbeat of national unity. When everything else was censored, faith remained the last free voice. Priests stood as symbols of defiance, and the pulpit became a battlefield of truth. The church bells of Poland didn't hide to just call people to prayer. They called them to remember who they were. Then came the 1970s and 80s, when the world saw something extraordinary: the rebirth of civil courage. The Solidarity movement, led by workers, priests, and students, showed the world that revolution could come without bullets. Poland didn't need tanks, it had truth. And truth once spoken can never be silenced. The social transformation that followed after 1989 was nothing short of a miracle. In a single generation, Poland turned from a closed, oppressed society into one of Europe's fastest-growing democracies. Freedom of speech, free elections, and free markets took root in the same soil that had once known famine and fear. But the greatest victory was not political, it was psychological. After centuries of occupation, betrayal, and suppression, Poles learned to believe again. They believed in themselves, in education, in innovation, in the simple but powerful idea that no matter how many times you fall, you rise again. Culture flourished. Film, literature, and art became windows to the soul of a people who had seen both heaven and hell. Filmmakers like Andrzej Wajda turned Poland's pain into cinematic masterpieces that moved the world. Musicians blended ancient folk with modern sound. Writers like Czesław Miłosz and Wisława Szymborska, both Nobel laureates, showed that words could rebuild nations, and education became Poland's new weapon. The country invested heavily in learning, science, and technology. Students who once studied by candlelight now became engineers, scientists, and thinkers shaping Europe's future. The children of soldiers and farmers turned into innovators, doctors, and diplomats. Poland's transformation rippled beyond its borders. It became a symbol of how a wounded nation can heal, how democracy can grow in the shadow of tyranny, and how faith can outlive fear. From the Baltic shores to the Tatra Mountains, from the old churches of Krakow to the steel factories of Gdansk, Poland showed the world that resilience is stronger than ruin. Yet even amid progress, the past was never forgotten. Every monument, every museum, every annual march of remembrance whispers the same truth. Freedom was not free. Generations paid for it with blood, exile, and tears. And that memory keeps modern Poland grounded, proud, but humble. In the European Union, Poland became the voice of courage, a nation that had seen empires fall and knew the price of peace. Polish soldiers served in peacekeeping missions, Polish scientists contributed to space programs, and Polish culture reached every corner of the world. From Chopin's timeless piano to the brave voices of modern journalists, Poland continues to remind humanity that truth and art are the ultimate forms of resistance. Today, when you walk through Warsaw, Krakow, or Gdansk, you don't just see cities, you see chapters of a story that refuses to end. A story of people who endured everything and still managed to smile, work, love, and create. The laughter of children playing in rebuilt squares is the loudest answer to centuries of silence. The societal impact of Poland's history is not measured by GDP or power. It is measured by endurance. A people who have been conquered a dozen times, but never broken. A nation that learned that hope is not the absence of pain, but the strength to carry it. Poland stands today as living proof that the human soul, once awakened, cannot be enslaved again. When you look at Poland today, the lights, the laughter, the freedom, it's hard to believe this land once burned in silence. But beneath every rebuilt street lies the bones of courage. Every smile hides generations of pain turned into pride. Poland is not just a country. It's a heartbeat that refused to stop. Its people taught the world one timeless truth. You can destroy walls, but never the will of a nation. The Polish spirit survived empires, dictators, and death itself, and still stands, unbroken, unbowed, and unafraid. And as we close this journey through centuries of fire and faith, remember, history is not just in the books. It lives inside every one of us. The strength to rise, to fight, to rebuild. That power is human, eternal, and unstoppable. If you love your country, hit subscribe. And if you love your mother, leave a comment below. Because stories like Poland's remind us that even after darkness, the dawn always comes, and freedom always finds a way.